Hello and welcome to another Game Pit stop. This one is for Reykholt, designed by Uwe Rosenberg and coming from Renegade Game Studios. Now Reykholt is set in Iceland and we are vegetable farmers in Iceland itself, and because Iceland is such a beautiful country and lots of natural wonders, there's lots of tourism. So we are vying with the other vegetable farmers to become the best at what we do and to sell those products to the tourists. Now the game is split over 7 rounds as depicted by this turn marker up here that flips over at the end of every round. And we are vying to get along this track, and this is how we supply the tourists. The furthest person to get along that track is going to be the winner at the end of the game. So how are we going to go about doing that? Because we need those vegetables into our stock, don't we? So the first part of each round, now each round is divided into 4 sections. The first one is work time. And you're going to take one of your 3 workers and you're going to place them on one of these action spaces here. Now the rule of thumb there is if it's taken by somebody else, you can't place there. And also there are flags in certain spaces on columns. So if you place in a flag space on this column, you may not place on the other flag space, and equally towards the end there in the other column with flag spaces. So there are various things you can do with those actions. Now the first thing really you've got to think about doing is getting a greenhouse into your hand, into your tableau, because that's the only way you're going to be able to seed and then harvest to get the goods to deliver to the tourists. So for instance, if we were to go up here, you're able to collect one of these greenhouses over there. Now you may choose ones for yourself. The ones with more spaces tend to have fewer options, but the fewer spaces tend to have the harder to get vegetables like carrots and cauliflower. So once you've got your greenhouses, and there's wild cards at the top as well, then you're going to start thinking about, right, you need those vegetables to be able to plant in the first place. So there are action spaces that also allow you to take vegetables into your hand. So this one allows me to take 2 cabbage or 2 tomatoes. So I think I'll take 2 cabbage. Okay, there are places where it says you can seed. So here it says you can seed at least 2 times. So you need 2 greenhouses. So let's imagine that I have a tomato and these 2 cabbages that I've just picked up, and what you do is you place one of your vegetables in, and then every other space on your greenhouse is filled up by that vegetable. And here's one I made earlier with my tomatoes, just for the speed of the video. So once you have your greenhouses full, then you also have the option to move on to harvest spaces. So if you wish to go, let's say here, that allows you to harvest up to 2 times and take a mushroom. So we can take that mushroom, happy days, and harvest up to 2 times. Now you can take 1 good or vegetable from each of your greenhouses. And if it says more than once, it must be from a separate greenhouse that you take the 2nd and possibly 3rd vegetable. The last column are all about your town hall actions, and these are ways to move along this track quickly or to get these special cards down here. Now these are service cards and they allow you to just break the rules ever so slightly. There's a whole deck of these, and all split into A's, B's, C's and D's, and you essentially take 5 of these, you lay them out at the bottom, and people have the option to come and take them whenever they wish. If they are red, that means they are an instant action, they must be played straight away. If not, they tend to be ongoing abilities. Also on the town space, as I said, it allows you to turn in some of your greenhouses to advance along this track. Just quick ways to score, probably at the end of the game. Once the work time is over and everybody has placed all of their 3 workers, let's just do like so, just throw yellow in there. You are now moving on to harvest time. So you're going to simply take 1 vegetable from each of your greenhouses into your stock. The next move is tourism. Now tourism doesn't go in player order. So I have the first player marker, so I was going first as the blue player. But let's say that yellow was ahead in the tourism section here, and now yellow would go first in the tourism. So let's say yellow's taken their go and they've managed to advance up here. But we're going to show you with the blue player how you're going to do this. So the blue player, now, to advance to this table, they must pay 1 tomato. Happy days, they've got tomato, so they can advance here. The next one is a lettuce, so they've got a lettuce, and they can pay 1 to advance there. Now, once per turn, they must just take an action and move on by taking the vegetable rather than paying it. So luckily I'm able to place a mushroom because I picked up a mushroom along the way, and whenever you join a player you must go in front of them, so that affects tourism and final scoring. And lastly, I cannot pay a cauliflower, so I would actually reach over there and I would take 1 cauliflower and advance to the cauliflower itself. And that happens throughout. Once you get into the 2s, the 3s and the 4s and all the way around to the 6s, you're going to take that amount of that vegetable that you either choose not to pay or can't pay. At the end of that, it's homecoming time. Everybody's going to take their workers back into their hand. They are going to flip the round marker over, and we're going to start again with the placing of the workers in work time. And as I said, you advance through 7 rounds and the winner is the furthest person along the track. But before we go, there is also a deck of cards in here that changes things up. There is a story mode that is going to give you sort of an ongoing arc to what you're doing. There are events that come into play, and these are all for experienced players. There are also little additions to each of the sections of cards, so it makes it a little bit more difficult and they're more involved. And it says on the deck of cards, do not play those until you're a bit more experienced with the game. And that was Reykholt, and I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, there's plenty more that came from on our YouTube channel. Please go there for more pit stop videos and convention coverage. And for reviews and more in-depth coverage of gaming, please go and see our podcast, the Game Pit Podcast, wherever you get your podcasts from. Thank you very much for watching.